Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Thursday. Welcome to another edition of Mean Streets powered by FTN right here on Game Plus Network. Chris Meany here with you. Thanks as always for taking the time to hang out. If you're watching live on our YouTube page, smash the like button. You have any questions, we will address them here on this show. Jill Gallant of FTNBets.com, the host of Touchdown Town and Dog Day Afternoon, is going to drop by. We're going to preview tonight's Thursday night football game between the Vikings and the Steelers. We have some props, we have some picks, we have some touchdown calls from the GOAT himself, Gilles Gallant. There's 10 games in the NHL, so you know I have NHL picks for you here today. This is show number 3. The only one that I care about, jokes aside, show number 4 tonight. We will have a betting show for you this evening over at FTN. I'm filling in for Elliot, Chris. It'll be Brooke, myself, and Ray. The happy hour, we will break down everything in the NFL leading up to kickoff because there are some questions surrounding tonight's game. It is all around Dalvin Cook. He is a game-time decision, according to Tom Pelissero. I guess we're going to hear a little bit later on. I mean, this guy just had his shoulder popped out a couple weeks ago, and it's going to come down to pregame warm-up, according to Tom. So there's a lot of chatter where it does believe, everything I'm reading, it does look like Dalvin Cook will play in this game, and we don't really have a history of a split backfield when it's Cook. I mean, we've seen Cook hurt numerous times over the past couple years, and when he doesn't play, Alexander Mattison is a lock and loaded RB1. He's a top 5 running back. He's phenomenal. So if you're a Cook owner, welcome in. Let's try to work this out together. Can ask Jill. Latino's going to drop by. We're going to talk a couple props with him for tonight's game as well. I don't know. If I have Cook in spots, I think I'm going to play him. Like, if he plays, I think I got to play this guy. Like, I just knowing what he could bring to the table, and if he's going to be limited, why roll him out there? If you're the Vikings, I know this is a must-win opportunity, but they have a capable guy in Alexander Mattison that they could just play, and he could. I don't want to say that he's just as good as Dalvin Cook, but man, he's very capable. He's one of the better backup running backs in the entire league. So we'll keep an eye on this entire situation. I think even if you have Madison, I think you play him too. I think that, if you have both, obviously, I mean, I would lean with Cook. But if you're a Madison owner and Cook is going to be active here today, I have a hard time saying don't play Alexander Mattison. I think you just got to roll him out. But we have the total here set at 43.5. It could be at 44 in some spots. We have Pittsburgh plus 3.5. We talked with Tino yesterday about these Minnesota Vikings and their losses. All 7 of their losses, 1-score losses, and 5 losses that came on the final play of the game. You know I'm backing the Steelers plus 3.5, right? You got to. I think you have to, don't you? With the Vikings, if you've watched them play football this year, all their games have basically come down to the final play, wins and losses. So I have to back the Steelers here. We'll get some thoughts from Jill Gallant. People are hanging out, and I love it. I'm all about this. I absolutely. Eric Rodman. Eric Rodman's in here. So mean. Molson, baby. Trevor Zegras, such a stud. Yeah, Zegras is a stud. We're going to talk up the Ducks here a little bit. A hockey show that's free for you over at ftnbets.com. Watching our YouTube page. It is here on our YouTube page. Dangle, Bet, Sally, Eric Young, and myself, we broke down everything in the NHL 10 games. But I have some props, I have some assist and point props, and I have some NHL picks as well. The picks were brutal yesterday. I always say it on this show, got to hold ourselves accountable. Can't just sit here and talk about winners, pat myself on the back when I win a couple of units. Really got to just break down what went wrong, too. And I don't think a lot of people do that. Who wants to talk about their losses? Nobody wants to talk about their losses. But yesterday, a couple L's for sure. We can go over that when it comes to the NHL when we break all that stuff down. The NBA 3-point props were okay. We're going to revisit that. I think we got 3 for 5. There are a couple guys that were stuck on 2. Kelly Oubre Jr. had 3. We needed 4. He jacked up like 12 shots from beyond the arc. He was super cold. But the 3-point shot props, okay. The NHL shot props have been just okay as well. 3 for 5 now, 3 straight days. So hopefully we can go at least 4 for 5. We want to go at least 4 for 5. 3 for 5 is fine if that's going to be our worst case. But we need to be given 5 for 5s here. But we have a lot of. I hold myself accountable. It's like high standard. We got to do it. I want people to win some cash. George included. Oh baby, Kraken Labatt's and Jackie D's before Thursday Night Football with the mean one. It was great to see my guy George yesterday on camera. Sharp dress, man. It's looking slick. A straight baller, looking a little bit better than me. I'm coming here with a hoodie, and maybe you should be hosting this show. Touchdowns, G-Dub. Yes, Jill's going to be in here in a moment or two. I wanted to give some love to the FTN betting package like I do every time, but we may have some new viewers here. Jill's big time here in the industry, so maybe we're getting a couple more checking out the Mean Streets powered by FTN. FTNbets.com/pricing is the website for you, and FTN TV wins. Do we have that, Tino? The promo code? It's going to save you. There it is. FTN TV. $49.99 per month. You think I would remember what the promo code was? I was kind of tripping up there. Tino, you saved me there. Everything, all the bets across all the sports, everything for you with this package. Premium NFL stats powered by FTN data. You got the Discord channel. You got NFL tools. You got the player prop model from Jeff Ratcliffe. His projections are absolutely on point. We're going to touch on some of those projections in just a little bit. We will break right now. But again, use that promo code FTNTV. You want to hang out for a month, see what it's like over at FTN. And I'm telling you, a lot of sharp minds over there, so that could pay for your rest of the season package. For, just want to sign up for the month, and you can re-up for another month. But if that 1 month is pretty good, then maybe you can re-up and get the annual package. Again, all the sports included over at ftnbets.com. All right, a lot to kind of get to here today, so we're going to stop messing around. We're going to break. We're going to bring in Jill. We're going to call some touchdowns. We got some props. We're going to take a look at this score, and Tino's going to also drop by a little bit later on and more of a bigger deep dive and see what he's feeling for tonight as well. So Mean Streets continues here on Game Plus Network. Keep her locked. Welcome back into Mean Streets. Chris Meany and Jill Gallant. I can't get sick of you, dude. This is the second show we've done this week. He is the host of Touchdown Town and Dog Day Afternoon over at FTN Bets, or I guess it would be Bets TV. But you are correct. Proud to be a member of FTN Bets as well. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
It's been good, man. I'm actually quite fired up. No joke. I wasn't sure if I was going to share this story. I almost got into a fist fight with my neighbor like 10 minutes ago over shoveling the driveway. It was kind of funny.
Wow.
And it was the classic neighbor mix-up. Basically, I shoveled my driveway, and then he decided to shovel his and put all of his snow at the bottom of my driveway. And I'm like, hey, man, like, can you move that? And he's like, get your long hair out of here kind of thing. And I was like ready. Whoa. I was fired up. I know. Fighting words, right? Couldn't make fun of my hair. And then, so just one of those things, man. I was like, oh, man, I got a show to do. I'm leaving. Clean that up. And he did. So obviously he's not the best neighbor, but I can't really put him down as the worst neighbor of all time.
Clean that up. And then he did. I can't believe he called you long hair. Like, those are fighting words.
Well, I mean, there was a little bit more expletives that I'm not going to share on this show. But at the same time, it was one of those, like, had this been in my 20s, like, I would not have made the show. Like, I would have just been like, I can't go. It was too much drama for this. So instead, I'm fired up. I still got touchdown scores to talk about, but just a friendly reminder: if you've got neighbors and you're shoveling your driveway, do not put your snow at the end of their driveway after they already done. I feel like that's common sense, but at the same time, I think people need to be reminded of that. If I just shovel my driveway and I put all my snow at the end of your driveway, I would expect you to be pretty PO'd at me too.
Yes, For sure. And for everyone, I mean, we got the American friends of Mean Streets here hanging out saying, I thought Canadians were supposed to be nice. Like, I thought this guy was supposed to shovel your driveway for you. I live in the boonies, and I have a snowblower, but I didn't use it at all last year because luckily one of my buddies, he owns like a trucking company. He just comes over and does it for me in the morning. But he wasn't around this morning, and I was up at 6:30 to shovel to get the wifey out of the driveway. I guess you got, I think, a little bit more snow than me, but here we are, Canadian style, talking snow and shoveling and long hair off the top of the show. And George is hanging out too. And yeah, you were throwing shade at my Habs during Rapid Fire on Dog Day afternoon this week, but it was certainly warranted, right? The Canadians they're no good at the game of hockey these days.
It was more just to remind people that just to see where the state of the Habs fan is. Like I would think, I don't want to call you Captain Habs fan, but I think you have a pretty good idea of the pulse on the team. So if I was to ask you, are they the worst team in the league? You would be able to tell me. Now, statistically and from the standings, that might be a different story. But I think you were pretty accurate. You're not saying they're the worst team, but they're definitely not.
They're pretty darn close. They're pretty darn close to that. Yeah. And George is also saying Jill Gallant, UFC 267 in Vegas. You're also a guy that likes to give some MMA picks, but we will talk Thursday Night Football here today. So it is Steelers and Vikings. This is a huge game for both teams. I don't like the direction of either team. I don't think either team makes the playoffs, but certainly not a great chance to make it if they lose here tonight. So we do have 3.5 for the Steelers in some spots, and you see the total at 44 minus 167 using our free prop shop and parlay calculator to get the best possible odds. If you want to back Minnesota here, minus 167, Pittsburgh plus 150. You see the note there. The Vikings have lost all 7 of their games this season by 1 score, and they do have 5 losses this year that came down to the final play of the game, and they have a couple walk-offs themselves.
Well, I was going to say, Meanie, I just saw a stat before the show came on, and I was shocked that I didn't have it, but they have led in all 12 of their games, but they've still lost 7 of them. So that's the thing, is that this team offensively, you can get value on them because they can score and they can move the ball. Really, I can only think of one game this year against Cleveland where their offense was just completely inept and exposed. Other than that, they've kept pace with every single team they've played.
I feel like I got to pick Pittsburgh here. I mean, most books, I'm looking at our parlay calculator again, most books have 3 points bet still hanging that 3.5. I mean, what we just talked about, the Vikings hanging around in all their games, but no Adam Thielen here. Dalvin Cook is a game-time decision. If he plays, he's not going to be 100%. I hate backing the Steelers team because I don't believe in Big Ben. Just had a nice win last week against the Ravens. They came back there. I don't know, man. I think this is a field goal game here tonight. Are you with me?
Yeah, I'm with you. But I mean, as far as picking a side is just kind of flip a coin, because I think what you're banking on right now with Pittsburgh is that can Ben throw the ball? And can Najee Harris convert that key third down that you need, or something along those lines? I mean, the Vikings, one thing that's obviously helping them as well is that they've got a lot of guys coming back from injury today. Like, this is one of the reasons why I wasn't too high on Deontay Johnson today, even though he's probably going to still get like 10 to 12 targets. He's probably going to have Patrick Peterson shadowing him the entire game. You're going to see Eric Kendricks come back. I saw Anthony Barr is off the injury report as well. So quite a few guys coming back for the Vikings. So just defensively, I think that's what's going to be difficult for Pittsburgh, is that I think they can score maybe 1 to 2 touchdowns. But I mean, I think you should look at the total. Like, the odds makers are telling you right now that this is going to probably be a defensive matchup. And I think what you were alluding to at the beginning is that this is kind of a loser leaves town matchup. Like, basically the way the playoff standings are, if the Vikings lose again, that's their 8th loss. They're not probably going to make the playoffs unless they win out and then get some luck. And Pittsburgh, same thing. Just the AFC is so stacked that they're still, like, even though at 6-5-1, they're still like outside of the playoff picture. So I don't really like the Pittsburgh Steelers in this spot. I mean, it's nice to get points, but I'm just worried that they're not going to be able to move the ball that well.
Yeah, I'm a little hesitant on, I don't give any unders really on this show. I would lean to the under when it comes to Najee Harris's rushing prop at 70, 72, whatever book you're looking at, with Anthony Barr and Eric Kendricks coming back. I think that's great to bring up that point with those two guys. I mean, for Harris, he gets a lot of volume, gets a lot of opportunity, but 3.6 yards per carry is not great over his last 5 games. 3.5 yards or higher just once. And since week 9, I mean, he only has 4 carries of 10 plus yards. I mean, this is a guy who gets the ball a lot. The offensive line is not great. I think if you're Minnesota, you want to stack the ball. I think you want Big Ben to throw the football. You stack the box, right? Say, go ahead, Ben. If you want to throw the football on us, throw the football, and we dare you. Go ahead and do that. But I'm looking at Harris for a guy that his only top 72 yards once in his last 5 games, and it took like 26 carries to do that. Man, we got Ray GQ hanging out here on Mean Streets. Holy, let's go. We got the whole the FTN crew with us and Bets TV. I can't wait to hang out with Ray this evening, happy hour, to break down this game even more with him and Brooke Cromer of FTN. But let's get after it. I like I said, I'm on the Steelers. I'll give my props later on, kind of, share a couple that I feel for touchdowns, but you're the touchdown GOAT. Where are you going first here for this evening's game?
Yeah, I generally, I mean, this, I generally don't play guys below plus 200. I just couldn't help it because the Steelers have been getting exposed by wide receivers all year, and no Joe Hayden again tonight. So I know that it's not great odds, but at plus 110, I got it at Bet365. I'm riding with Justin Jefferson again, man, because he is the offense. He's so dynamic. 18 red zone targets this year, and again, no Adam Thielen. I think he's going to have a monster game. The Steelers have allowed the 3rd most touchdowns to wide receivers this year, and I think you're going to see, with Dalvin Cook being banged up, and Madison to a lesser extent if he does play, takes over for Cook. I just think that they're going to have to throw the ball a little bit more tonight, and that's why, I have another wide receiver. I'm going to also bet on KJ Osborne at plus 260. I got that at FanDuel because, again, last week with Thielen out, 7 targets, 4 catches, touchdown. I was kind of trying to decide between KJ Osborne and Tyler Conklin. They're both around the same odds. But for myself, just looking at the history of the Steelers, they've been fairly well against tight ends this year. So I found it difficult to really justify Conklin, whereas Osborne, I feel like, is going to immediately take over the Thielen role, whether it be in the slot or out wide. And I think he can expose that defense. So Justin Jefferson at plus 110 and KJ Osborne at plus 260. Those are my favorite 2 bets from the Vikings. I did end up taking a tight end, though, for the Steelers. I had to take Pat Freiermuth, man, because at plus 230, when you're getting a guy who has scored touchdowns in 4 of his last 6 games, he's 2nd on the team in red zone targets. Again, part of it is because maybe I'm more of a Patrick Peterson stan than others, but I really think that he is going to cause issues for Deontay Johnson. So that's why, you could justify Chase Claypool, but I'm just kind of worried about Ben's arm, of whether or not he can make that deep pass to get Chase in scoring position. Whereas Freiermuth, goal line, within 20 yards, there's a lot more instances and opportunities that I think Freiermuth can score. And when they're at similar odds, like Freiermuth at plus 230, Claypool at plus 250, I'm going to take the guy who has the scoring history.
Yeah, and I think that makes a lot of sense. I really do like KJ Osborne here tonight. I think from a DFS standpoint, he'll probably be pretty chalky. Yeah, I think a lot of people like him, but I think it's warranted. Even, with Adam Thielen leaving that game early, he led all Minnesota wide receivers in snaps. He ran 1 fewer route than Justin Jefferson. I know early on in the season when they were running a lot of 3 wide receiver sets, which was new to the Vikings because it's not something that they really had done over the past couple of years. He was a factor in the offense. And what I had noticed early on in the season when he was a factor is that he was a player in the first drive of games. So to me, that made me think that he was part of the game plan. They were drawing up plays. Usually the first few plays of the first half is scripted, right? You could say the same thing in the second half too, where he was involved quite a bit, and then he's been quiet. But last week, running routes, playing a lot of snaps. Ty Conklin played more snaps than anybody, 72 snaps on offense. So I think he's pretty interesting as well.
Well, I was trying to find a long shot in this bet or for this game.
You see the comment? I think Eric has a long shot for you tonight.
He's not bad. My long shot that I really wanted to bet today, but he just doesn't play enough snaps to really feel great about it. I really wanted to take Chris Herndon, man. He is right now at plus 1,600 to score. So I might still sprinkle on it or maybe put a half unit on it just because he scored a touchdown this year. I think when they get into the goal line, they're going to have to throw fast because I still do like the Steelers pass rush when they really buckle down and pin their ears back. So Jefferson and Osborne, I think, are my 2 favorites. But if I'm taking a long shot, I'm going for tight end too. I'm going for Tyler Conklin at 16-1 would probably be my favorite. And with the Steelers, honestly, the long shot, I know that this, I saw Tino comment about it earlier about how I'm going to bet on him just because of his name, but Ray Ray McLeod's snaps have really picked up over the last few weeks, especially with pretty much ever since Juju got hurt. He's been a little bit more involved week after week after week. So if you're trying to decide between a third, the problem is with Ray Ray and to a lesser extent, even another guy that I feel like I'm part of the James Washington fan club. Between these two guys, I still like Washington. He does technically play more snaps than Ray Ray. Just Ray Ray has been kind of slowly emerging in this offense, and you can get both of those guys at like plus 600 or better. And Jefferson, which is funny because while I got him at plus 110 at Bet365, he dropped to like basically plus 100 within an hour after I posted it on the FTN Bets tracker. And at some books that I've seen him, he's down to like minus 200, for example, at BetMGM for Jefferson to score tonight. So when you see that kind of odds discrepancy, that's part of the reason why I would jump on a guy like Jefferson when there's like a full dollar difference.
I mean, Jefferson's been such a beast. A lot of people just, not a lot, but some people have reached out to me this morning in our Discord and asked me about Justin Jefferson and saying like, well, if, the Steelers are doubling him, like, is it KJ Osborne? Is it Conklin? And it's like, don't hesitate to roll out Jefferson, and his receiving yard prop is super high, but this guy, all he does is get 100 yards, man. 182 last week, 83, 169, 143. I mean, he set an NFL rookie wide receiver record last year with 1,400 receiving yards. He's going to top that this season. He is an absolute beast. We do have Ray. I mean, he's checking out, man. Ray's hanging out with us. I dig this. Week 13, second half routes. Deontay Johnson, 18. Ray McLeod, 14. Claypool, 10. Washington, 9. Yep. Pat Freiermuth, 9 as well. I mean, when they get in the red zone, I feel like Ben does look Pat Freiermuth's way. It's a very small sample size, but they find a way to get him the ball.
Well, the numbers have shown that. He has 8 red zone targets in the last 4 games. Like it's not, obviously the stats aside of like the routes run, for me, you could run as many routes as you want as the ball being thrown your way. And that's the thing, is that Muth has been getting targets. So I still like the Muth pick. And I know that obviously with Anthony Barr and Kendrick and, and just overall that defense is a little bit more improved. Maybe there might be a little more fire from their behind just with last week's loss to the Lions. Zimmer might have been laying into them a little bit more. I don't really play the motivation game very often. But again, that's kind of my mindset, is that if I'm going to take a Steeler, I'm probably going to take either like what I would consider the safest pick, or I'm going all long shots. And Ray, James Washington, those are probably my two of the guys that I would probably sprinkle like a half unit on each.
Tino likes a little DD Westbrook. He wants to get some DD Westbrook in his life. I don't know. I think that could be okay. Another, like, maybe a slot guy, a couple targets there for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think my thing is with wide receiver threes specifically. Like, I want odds of like plus 600 or more. That's always been my logic, is that if you get a wide receiver 2 over plus 200, usually the price ranges are plus 200 to plus 300 if you're a middle pack, maybe an upper tier offense. If you're the Chiefs, wide receiver 2, you're probably going to be like plus 150. So that's why, like with this team, with Dede, I've seen him anywhere between like plus 400. I've seen him as low as like plus 350 at some books.
I've seen 710 at FanDuel.
See, now that's good odds. I would play Westbrook. If you're thinking Westbrook, that's great odds. It's just more about the odds play more so than whether or not you think he's going to actually score. Obviously, you would love if he scored, but you want to get the best value possible. So for any of my bets as well, if you're ever looking at them, make sure to shop around. Make sure to have multiple books because that's what I need to do in order to make sure that I get the best value for any touchdown scorer that I bet.
It's actually BetMGM, my bad. Yeah, 710 at BetMGM. But yeah, that's pretty good value. Eric is really, he's wishing this parlay into existence. I'm not going to lie, man. I don't know too much about Dan Chestnut. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing his name right. Chestnut. All I know is that if he were to catch a pass today, that would be his first this season. That is what I know about Dan here today, but he is, long shot for sure, right? Plus 1,000 for him to score a touchdown, 65 to 1 first time. We'll get you out of here on this. Did you give us a first time? I think you did. You did a little first time action in there. No, you had something. I thought. You said, no?
I mean, I didn't today, but usually when I do that is I like to take one on each side. So last week, for example, for Monday, somebody asked me that, and I said Damian Harris and Josh Allen would be my 2 picks. Obviously, Damian Harris, he was plus 850, he scored. But I think for tonight, if I was to bet first touchdown score, I'm either going with Deontay at plus 750, or I'm going I would probably say Najee at plus 550, just because I think if they get into within the 5-yard line, they're going to give him at least 2 carries to try and see if he can get into the end zone before they try to force feed it into Deontay or Frymouth. But for the actual Vikings, though, honestly, I know this is silly, but I think Jefferson's going to score the first touchdown at plus 450. And that's my pick. I think he's going to burn them.
Yeah, I think he is too. Giddy up, man. I like it. I like people here talking to us and having a conversation as well. Is there anything on the way out you want to touch on? You want to plug the shows that, this weekend, or, some of the when we got together last week, we talked a lot about the anytime touchdown model that you had going on as well. I thought that was pretty cool. And you had Kevin retweet and Kevin, the boss man, likes it. So, I mean, that's good.
That's all I need, man. Yeah. Well, and so that's the seal of approval, is that if the CEO retweets your tool and says it's awesome, then pretty much I think I'm past the probation period now with the gig. I think what I would say is what I do with anytime touchdown scores is I like to track odds and have odds comparisons to make sure that I'm getting the best value possible, especially if you're looking at long shot guys. Let's use KJ Osborne as an example, plus 260 this week. But when you really, it's difficult to use him actually, let's use a different example. He's not the best example to use because his odds would be lower. But last week was a perfect example of Thursday with Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill was going into the game probably around plus 400, plus 500 to score a touchdown. Then by game time, he dropped to about plus 250. But if you looked at his previous weeks to score a touchdown, he was around plus 250, plus 200, sometimes even plus 300. And then you're able to see, wait a minute, I should be betting Taysom because I'm actually getting way more value than I would week to week. And if he scores this week, there is no way that I'm getting this value again going forward. So that's what I use for anytime touchdown scores, is that you're able to track the odds week to week to ensure that if you're betting on a guy like Elijah Moore, who is the most profitable anytime touchdown scorer of the season, that you're getting him at the best value possible. Because if you look at the past weeks of why he's there, he was scoring at plus 400, plus 350. Now he might be down to plus 150 to score this week. Not sure if you're going to want to feel as comfortable betting on him at those odds, but if he's back up to plus 200 and you're seeing that that's kind of where his odds average is, then you're able to know that, okay, I'm getting the best value possible.
Yeah, well said. Awesome. And Eric, I thought you were a little hard on Kirk Cousins, man, in the comments. Kirk Cousins is done. I don't know. Are these losses on Kirk Cousins, Jill? I don't think so. I mean, this guy's throwing at least 2 passing touchdowns in 5 straight games, 9 of his 12 games. It's on the defense. What do you want? And they were down by double-digit scores against the Lions last week, and he marched them up the field twice, and he gave them the lead. It's not his fault. The defense absolutely blew it. I mean, I don't think so. I think Kirk Cousins has been playing pretty good, and if he pulls off a victory tonight without Adam Thielen, his touchdown boss, really, a lot of those touchdowns have been to Adam Thielen over the past couple of seasons. But if he pulls off a victory tonight with his arm, I think we got to give him a lot of credit, man. Jill, I think he's looked pretty good, man. We do have to get out of here. We do appreciate you, man. When can they catch? Can they catch your show on Sunday?
Sure. So every Sunday, myself and Brendan Deeg from National Football Post, we give our 10 best touchdown score bets for the 1 p.m. Eastern and 4 p.m. Eastern games for each week in the football season. The show is called Touchdown Town. It airs at 11 a.m. Eastern on Bets TV. I make sure to share it on my Twitter account, and you can go right to the Bets TV YouTube channel as well. It's always going to be there, ready to be watched. We go live right at 11 a.m. Eastern. We give out our bets. It's nice and quick and easy. Nice little 20, 25-minute show. Here's the picks, no nonsense, and then we move on with our day and go watch the football game. So we have that, and then obviously every Tuesday, we've got Dog Day Afternoon, a little bit more of an interview, kind of less serious show. Meany, for example, was my most recent guest. We had him on Tuesday, and that airs every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, it was fun. We had a fun little conversation, just taking a look at some teams, some playoff odds, some Super Bowl odds, some MVP stuff. You can go back and watch that, like you said, over at Bets Media. Touchdown Town and Dog Day Afternoon at Bets Media on the TV, on the Twitter machine, and of course Bets TV. And GDog5000 is the follow you need to be following. Ray, oh man, Ray is still hanging out with the money emojis. I love it. Let's get that money. Good luck tonight. Good luck to everybody out there. The football talk is not going to stop. Tino is going to drop in here next. I got some props for you, and we'll break down this game a little bit more here. Mean Streets continues on Game Plus Network. Keep her locked. Welcome back to Mean Streets here on Game Plus Network. Tino Rodriguez _ on the Twitter machine. Producer Tino joining us here right now. Eric, I see the comment on the Trouba hit. You wanted me to talk about it. I thought it was clean. Thought it was a clean hit. McKinnon, keep your head up. That's it. The choo-choo train's coming, and they're going to be after you. They're going to be after you. That's it. You're a great player. I thought it was a good hit, and you got to keep your head up when Trouba's on the ice. The other one the other day, didn't love it. This one I thought was okay. Okay, so continuing the talk here with tonight's football game. This is what I'm thinking from like a pick standpoint and a prop standpoint. So I like the Steelers here plus 3.5. I mentioned it off the top and a little bit with Jill Gallant, but if you're just checking in here live, this is a Vikings team that you just look overall at their schedule. They played in 10 one-score games so far this season, and all 7 of their losses have been decided by one score. There was one game, 8 points, a 2-point combo. Everything else has been really like a field goal or within 6 points. Last week, the 2-point loss to Detroit. Actually, 2 games against the Lions so far this season. They've given up 46 against the Lions, and they've scored 46. This is just a mediocre Minnesota team, and they're at home. They're getting favored here by 3.5 in some spots, so I just want to take the hook here. All 7 of the Vikings' losses been by one score, as I mentioned, and 5 losses in the last play of the game. So I think that's pretty significant. Justin Jefferson, I mean, how can we not take Justin Jefferson? I know it's pretty high at 90.5. It opened up at 88.5. You can go over to Prize Picks. We'll talk about Prize Picks in a second, but you can get 88.5 over there. I would take the over on this. There's no question, right? There's no Adam Thielen here. Sure, they're probably going to have some double coverage, but I expect double-digit targets from Justin Jefferson over his last couple games. 182 yards, 83, 169, and 143. He has 44 targets over those 4 games, and I do believe that this line should probably be like mid-90s, really. He had 11 catches on 14 targets last week for 182 yards. I like Deontay Johnson over 6.5 grabs. I know that Minnesota's getting some guys back, like Jill mentioned, but 17 grabs on 25 targets for DJ over his last 2 games. He has at least 7 grabs in each of his past 4 contests, and he's averaging 7.7 catches and a league-high 12.7 targets per game over that span. His last 4 games, 12.7 targets. Say what you want about Big Ben. He is locked in to Deontay Johnson, and I don't think the Steelers are going to have a lot of success running the football with Barr and Hendricks back here today. So second in the NFL in targets for Deontay Johnson. And then KJ Osborne, touched on him in the last segment. You also see Chase Claypool there. For KJ Osborne at 41.5, this is, again, everything can't go to Justin Jefferson. Kirk Cousins is going to have to spread the ball around just a little bit for Osborne. 44 yards last week. He held in 4 of his 7 targets. He led all Minnesota wideouts in snaps and ran 1 fewer route than Justin Jefferson, and Adam Thielen left that game pretty early. As for Chase Claypool, you see the receiving yard prop at 49.5. Some books have them at 51.5. How about you head on over to prizepicks.com, use that promo code FTN. They'll match your first deposit up to 100% and up to $100, 100% rather, and you can get over at Prize Picks, Chase Claypool at 46.5 receiving yards. So Jeff Ratcliffe, talked about him off the top of the show, the number 1 ranker in the business, still the number 1 ranker according to Fantasy Pros. Just checked in yesterday. He's won Jake Seeley's too. I mean, all in football, giddy up. And you got to watch that show. Bets TV is another YouTube channel that you need to be subscribed to. Ray's hanging out here. You can catch his show as well. But for Jeff Ratcliffe, he has Claypool at 59 receiving yards in his projections. 59. Like, this is a 10-yard swing here. And over at Prize Picks, you're looking at like 14 yards. Ratcliffe's super sharp, which is not just a great ranker. His projections are absolutely on point for Claypool. 52 yards, 82 yards, and 93 yards in his past 3 games. Yes, I am worried about Big Ben. There's no question I am worried about Big Ben and his arm, but this is a yardage number that he's got to quite often. So I wanted to bring attention to Chase Claypool and also attention to FTNDaily.com. When you click the DFS tab up at the top of FTNDaily.com, you'll see everybody's picks. We're all giving them underdog, Prize Picks, Jock Market, you name it. But there is an edge over at Prize Picks. Their lines are not as sharp as other books. So you head on over there. You can do the 2 for 3. You can go power play or pick entry. Your pick entry can be a power play or a flex play. And for a power play, you got to get them all right. For flex, you don't. 2 for 3, cash in. 3 for 4, cash in. But I like Claypool in there as well. There's a lot to get to, Tino. You're hanging out here the whole time. What do you think about this game? What do you think? What do you think about that board? Is there any props that stand out to you? Like, what do you got on your card here tonight?
So yeah, I'll hit some different things that you don't have on that board. So you mentioned Ray earlier. Yeah, I made the joke that we like his name, and I'm going off name value, but I do think his lines are interesting. So I like it from a DFS play if you're doing a showdown slate. Now I'm not a DFS guy. There's plenty of guys over at FTN Daily that can do that for you, but he's priced relatively nicely for you at 3,200. And so I started drawing my eyes to him because his reception total or his reception yard total is 13.5. So shout out to Jeff Ratcliffe as well. I think that's a one-play payday, kind of waiting right there in the wings for you. If you like Ray, if you like the matchup, 13.5 yards. I mean, it's not much, right? So right. I think at worst he gets 2 to 3 catches here. I think he could accumulate 13.5 yards relatively easy if you don't necessarily want to get in with the touchdowns. And you mentioned him earlier, Najee Harris. So we're worried about Big Ben's arm. I'm terrified about Big Ben's arm. I'm worried about his legs too. He might be in a walking boot when he plays this game. But we have Najee Harris over 3.5 receptions and Najee Harris over 26.5 reception yards. He's gone over these totals both 7 times this season. I spoke this kind of earlier on our show. It's coming out on FTN Network's YouTube later in the day with me and Benny, betting with Benny and Tino. You'll know how this is going to go pretty early on. Najee Harris either gets right to 3 receptions with about 3 targets, or you're looking at he's getting like 9 targets and he's going to have about 6 receptions. So this is either nicely priced or it's nowhere near high enough, right? So I love his reception totals here. I think the Vikings are a little underrated in stopping the run. We talked about their linebackers, talked about how great they are at guarding tight ends by Anthony Barr and company, pretty good in the run game as well. So I wanted to stay away from his run totals just because he hasn't necessarily been running very well as of late. Yeah. He's kind of 50-50, right? He could go either way. He's a balanced running back, but I like his receptions more in this. And then to parlay with your Claypool take there, he's at 3.5 receptions. I think that's a little low. Now, obviously, he's gone under this total a bunch. He's only gone over 4 times this season, so it's kind of a risky play, not necessarily analytical. But at the same time, guy's got to be utilized more. Now, I know he's been dealing with an injury, but if he's playing and they use him how they did in a certain game, similar to like the Chargers game, he's going to get worked a lot. I think he can easily get over this number, and I think it's why it's priced the way it is on DraftKings. I recommend using the prop shop for this because at DraftKings, it's -150. See if you can get that a little higher. I don't recommend getting anything -150, especially for a guy who doesn't do that consistently, but it's a number that's out there, and it's something you could probably take advantage of if you can get the price, where you want it to be, maybe like -130, -120, something like that.
I love it, man. I love the Harris call. I'd rather get involved with his receiving yards and his catches too. I just don't know how much success he's going to have running the football. I just, like we talked about earlier, which is some of the he gets a lot of work. He gets a lot of snaps. He gets a lot of touches, but the offensive line is not ideal. And like you said, man, I mean, they may just stack that box here today on both sides. I think we could see the
right.
The box
I mean,
stack.
Meany, you said it. If you're going against Big Ben, you want him to throw the ball, right? You're going to let Big Ben beat you, right? I mean, why wouldn't you? So makes sense to me.
Yeah, and Minnesota getting some guys back that could help them stop the run. Yes, George, it is flex play life. I have 3 of them over at ftndaily.com. I got the Claypool and Justin Jefferson. That's a 2-pick power play. You need both. I got the flex play of 4. KJ Osborne over 39.5 yards over there. Kirk Cousins 2 passing touchdowns. Johnson 6.5 grabs. Justin Jefferson is at 89.5 yards. You just need the 3 of the 4. It pays 4-1. If you wanted to go all the way for 4 for 4, it would pay 9-1. And then I got the KJ Osborne over 39.5 and Deontay Johnson over 6.5 grabs, and that is 2-1 as well. And I love the tie-dye. We got to get out of here. We have 3 more segments to get to. Just a yes or no. If you own Dalvin Cook and he was active tonight, would you start him? Yes. Clearly it's context, but
I know you said yes or no. Just a little reason behind it. It's never been a split when they're both active. It just never has been. If Dalvin Cook plays, it's Dalvin Cook's backfield. So I don't buy in that he'll be reserved if he's playing. You said it yourself. It's a must win. If Dalvin Cook's playing, you're starting him because it should be his backfield. Everything points to that. So yes.
You're right. It never has been a split. I always feel like it may be because Madison looks so good when he fills in, but it never is. It usually goes right back to Cook. It would be a great deadly 1-2 punch if they tried it tonight. Mm-hmm. I think if you own Cook, you got to start him. All right, we'll take a break, and we got some NHL props and picks and maybe some pops. Who knows? Keep it locked. All right, welcome in one more time. We're going to switch gears, talk a little NHL here with you. Got some shot props. We'll get this camera right eventually, live TV. We'll figure it out. We got a new camera coming. That's right. We're moving on up here. The mean streets, new camera coming. All right, Eric is he's still pushing for the touchdown call there from the backup tight end in Minnesota. I hope you get it, dude. I love it. I love long shots. Here we go. Shot props NHL. We got to nail these. We got to hit at least 4 of these here today. For Darnell Nurse, I honestly haven't found him yet. I do believe he's going to be at 2.5. He's been plus money. He was plus money early on in the season, and then he was, I think his last game, he was minus 130. He's got 12 shots in 2 games since returning to the lineup, and he's cleared 2.5 in 12 of his 15 games. Alex DeBrincat, he's got a fantastic matchup here this evening against the Montreal Canadiens, who have allowed the most shots at 5-5 per 60 since November 1st. They've also allowed the 3rd most shot attempts over that span as well. For DeBrincat, he's cleared 2.5 shots in 5 of his past 7 games. He has 18 SOGs in his last 4 games. This is just a really good spot against the Montreal Canadiens. I don't have Kirill the Thrill Kaprizov on there, dollar bill, but we'll save him for next go around here, but 2.5 shots is not a bad price for him either. But Pavel Buchnevich at minus 149 over at Caesars. He's cleared in 3 straight games in 6 of his past 7. He has 14 shots on goal in his last 3 games, and he's seen a massive uptick in ice time over the past couple weeks. He began the season playing on the Blues' 3rd line. He's now on their top line. He's getting top power play time, and this guy loves to shoot the puck. I was on the NHL Network podcast this morning with Nick Alberga and Pete Jensen. They asked me what I look for in shot props, and I look for guys who have moved up the lineup and who are on the power play and who are the trigger man. I look for puck hogs, and Buchnevich is one of them. Philip Forsberg is another guy as well, who is a shoot-first guy. He's got Mikael Granlund on his line, who is a pass-first guy. I have no problem with Forsberg or with Matt Duchene, whatever way you want to go here today. I think both of these guys are definitely in play. For Forsberg, he has at least 4 shots on goal in each of his past 4 games and 12 in his last 2 contests. And then Sonny Milano. I mean, this guy, our guy Sonny here, it's actually Sonny Milano, not Sony Michel PlayStation. It's in the game. Milano, man, he's red hot. This line for the Ducks, I talk about it in a little. Maybe I'll save it for the next segment. But 1.5 at minus 140 in DraftKings. I think you can play him as a single. You can play him as into a parlay. 3 goals, 7 points, and 12 shots over a current 4-game point streak. He has 11 shots on goal in his last 3 games. And this line with Zegras and Raquel is absolutely hot fire. And the Columbus Blue Jackets inside the top 5 in shot attempts and shots against at 5-5 per 60 over the last 5 weeks of the season. I love it. Dustin Bergeron plus money, 3.5. Love it. I dig it. Absolutely. He had 9 shots on goal last night. It's just Nurse. I like Nurse so much. If you're playing singles, it would be Nurse, it would be Pasternak, and then it would be Bergeron. I like all 3 of these guys. I think you can just mix and match with some parlays, include these guys in here, Kaprizov, maybe a little Duchene in your life, maybe a Raquel over Milano. Like, these are the guys that I'm looking at, but I broke it all down a lot larger, parlaying every NHL prop, 10-0 coming Tino. I don't know. Tarasenko, anytime goal. I like that one too. He's in play. Eric Young, like I said, we broke down all 10 games at length over at, you could see on our YouTube page, but Dangle Betselli is also free over at ftnbets.com, iTunes, and Spotify as well. We got a break. I got more props. They're not shot props. They're point props. And we hit 3 of 5 the other day all at plus money. So I got a couple more. Hang on. Ejecting these mixed with a little Labatt, like that's got to be the one of the comments of the year. You and George with the Labats, I love it, man. We're gonna have to have some Labats here over the break on this show, taking the edge off. All right, from shot props to point props and assist props. I know I'm kind of coming at you rapid fire for TV. Probably doesn't make for great segments. My apology. I'm gonna figure it out eventually. Glennie Mac and McCormick. Look at these. I am really feeling these point props and assist props lately. Look at Bergeron plus 235. Are you kidding me? This is a game total against the Oilers that's at 6. I know he doesn't have a boatload of assists over the past couple of days, and his line last night combined for 17 shots. They had 25 attempts towards the net. The Oilers rank inside the top 10 in shots allowed at 5 and 5 per 60 over the last 5 weeks. I think Bergeron could fall into an assist. How about Jason Robertson at plus 145 for a point here tonight? All he has is 20 points in 17 games, part of the hottest line in the NHL in Roope Hintz, Jason Robertson, and Joel Pavelski. I think all three of these guys could hit the score sheet here tonight. Robertson has 11 points over a current 7-game point streak, and he has 4 multi-point games over his past 5 contests. I can't believe that we're getting plus 145 here. Dollar Bill, the Thrill Kaprizov, plus money for an assist as well. He has 21 assists on the season. That is tied for the 6th most in the NHL, and he has 13 assists over his last 10 games. He's picked up a helper in 9 of his past 10 contests, including 6 straight games. So 6 straight games he has an assist, and he's plus money here this evening against the leaky San Jose Sharks. And then got our guy Milano in here again. So I mentioned that line of Milano and Raquel and Zegras. These guys have combined for 38 shots over their last 4 games, and they all are riding a 4-game point streak here this evening. They have been fantastic. 19 points over their last 4 games and 38 shots over that span. And then Mikael Granlund also inside the top 10 in assists so far this season. 21 assists right there with Kaprizov. 6 assists in his past 5 games and getting heavy minutes. And I like that top line. That's the key. Taking point and assist props. The assist props are tougher than points, but the thing is to get guys on great lines who are feeling it. Duchesne and Forsberg and Granlund feeling it. The Islanders are not feeling it despite a win in their last game. All right, one more segment, and my phone died, so I'm not sure how much time we have, but I got some more NHL picks for you. It's NHL galore here on a Football Thursday. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back. One final time here, one more segment and more hockey. I mean, there's 10 games in the NHL. We're going to visit some more. We'll do those 3-point props. I think we did okay. I mean, we hit 3 of the 5. That's okay. And a couple were stuck right on that number. 4 picks. You see the Minnesota Wild plus 105. You can get them at minus 145, but this is to win in regulation. If the game goes to a tie, you won't get it. If it goes to a shootout, you won't get it. But if Minnesota wins in regulation, one of the hottest teams going in the NHL, in my opinion, a top 5 team in the NHL, plus 105 to win in regulation. You can get that at DraftKings. Winnipeg Jets minus 110. I understand that the Kraken are playing a lot better, but this is a Jets team that I think is much better than Seattle. I think as long as Connor Hellebuck is between the pipes, we will be good to go. Minus 110, not a bad spot for them. Carolina plus 110. I really do like this Calgary Flames team. They've lost 2 straight, though. They went on a 4-game West Coast trip. Carolina waiting for them in Calgary. I typically tend to pick on teams coming off a semi-lengthy road trip. Their first game on home ice could be flat, but I just really like this Carolina team. I think they got right the other night against the Jets. I think we'll see them start to reel off a couple wins. Picking on the Canadians. What else is new? Chicago Chicago goes into Montreal and gets a W. Tampa Bay and Toronto under 6. For Andre Vasilevsky, his last 6 starts, 5 of them have been under the number. I don't think we'll see a lot of offense in that game. Tampa's been playing to the under. They don't have the same offensive firepower with some of their big stars out. I know the Leafs can score at will, but Andre Vasilevsky's great. And the other side, Jack Campbell, pretty good as well. So this is like 15 NHL picks. So hopefully a couple winners out there. George, we got a couple for you here this evening. Enjoy the football game. I do believe the Steelers cover. Again, ftnbets.com/pricing. Use the promo code NHL, Mean Streets, whatever you wish. Save yourself a little bit of cash. We'll be back tomorrow. Have a good one. Cheers.